Hey guys, I was listening to someone I really enjoy listening to just talk about all the life things and how to stay afloat in this crazy world. And she was talking about how, you know, she started to believe the voices of people who were telling her that she has nothing good to say, making up stories about her family and her. She's a very beautiful woman, so I'm sure, you know, jealous people were talking shit about her, gossiping about her. And I was just like, I saw myself in her when she was saying, like I'm sitting in the bathroom floor crying, believing I don't have anything of value to say. And so that propelled something in me that I needed to sit with because I get very protective of bullshit when I get protective of innocent people who were genuinely trying to do good in the world and genuinely trying to help people. And when people gossip about those kinds of people, everything in me is like, go fuck yourself. People know what they're doing when they're gossiping and talking shit. Like, a lot of people want to just like, oh, but they don't know, but they're in pain. Bull fucking shit. I know because I come from a family and like I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I don't care who says what anymore. I say that. I still sometimes let it get to me, but like at my core, when I like come back to myself, I'm like, if you're gonna talk shit about someone in front of me, I'm not gonna participate. And like there's one thing, there's venting and there's gossip and assassinating someone's character because you feel small inside. I don't get it. I do get it. And this is something I was sitting with myself yesterday because I get really, when I'm PMSing, I get really cagey, a little bit closed off. I have these reactions inside of myself that come up. And I was sitting with it yesterday and I was just like, I saw too clearly as a child the fake bullshit, the gossip, and still I wanted attention from these people because that was my family. I wanted love and attention from my mother's side too. But I was always made fun of for being so sensitive. I was always too much. And as an adult now that I can see what's happening, people who see too much and confront others' stuff are always going to be a problem in rooms where people deny, where people live in denial. You're not going to be a party favorite. You're not going to be, like, I know for myself, I gave the benefit of the doubt. I over-explained. I assumed people wanted to meet me in a space of connection, in a space of place and understanding. But a lot of people don't want to do that. There's lots of great people in the world, don't get me wrong, but like we have to see what we're playing with. Like if we're over explaining to people who are not trying to actually understand and mutually have a conversation, a reciprocal conversation where things are understood, like it's this force, like you have to force yourself to explain things to somebody because they are not trying to understand you. That is not something that I'm gonna do anymore in my life. And I like the thing with being neglected as a child and carrying internalized shame, as we believe a lot of the stories and shame about ourselves, but it actually belongs to other people. And so when we heal that and we stop acting in that shame and we stop feeling small and we actually take up space, we're gonna hear people say, oh, you just think you're better now. When I got back from Australia, my own father said that to me. Oh, you've changed. You think you're better now. It's Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave, Plato's cave, where like you veer outside of the cave, so you start to see your own shit. You start to see the world for what it is, and then you're trying to go back and explain to people who haven't left the cave yet what you're seeing. there's going to be friction there. And you know, this isn't about keeping people closed off at an arm's distance forever. Like, I don't spend a lot of time with people where I have to over explain myself anymore, because it's draining and it's daunting. And I have been meeting people where I can be myself and I can share openly, and I'm going to keep fueling that. And you know, like, in time, if people want to come back in my life and like want to share and reciprocate conversations, I'm always going to be open to that. But like, when you spent most of your life filtering yourself, and then you start to realize and grieve for all those times you filtered your feelings, you filter's not the word, you censor yourself so that other people are comfortable with you, and it's a second nature people pleasing pattern, and you start healing that wound, and you start feeling all that shame, feeling all the ways you were too sensitive. If you were ever told you're too sensitive, mark my words, you're not too sensitive for picking up on shit that people don't want to address. And I'm not talking about having triggers where you're reacting. I'm talking about like noticing behavior patterns, noticing the way people treat people around you, noticing the way certain people talk to their children or to their friends, or you see this pattern happening where somebody's like undermining someone consistently. If you're seeing that and you're calling attention to it, you're not going to be liked. I know this because this happened to me last December with my very own family. I was called names because I spoke up about something my grandfather did. And all the flying monkeys, my aunt, came out of the woodwork and called me names. They called me a slut. They called me a cunt. They called me... And funny enough, at the time, I didn't know some of their own skeletons in the closet until somebody told me like some other stuff. And I was like, this could be a healing crisis for our family. This could be a time we come together. But that is a fantasy. That is a childhood fantasy for many people who lived in childhood emotional neglect situations. I've had many fantasies of my family healing and coming together. And even as I'm sharing this video, there's a voice in my head, like the small me, that's like, oh, people are going to think you're bitchy or like snappy for talking about this. And I'm just like, no, the truth is uncomfortable. Talking about things that have been in the shadows that humanity has repressed, it's uncomfortable. It's not always pretty. I know I'm not alone in this. I know there's so many people going through it right now, because like, I went for a pedicure recently, and me and this woman were talking for like an hour, and she was sharing, she's like, you know, a lot of friends I have, they're all surface level. I want to bring our friends together and like hang out with the kids and like do something together, you know, where the kids are playing off screens, and the parents are just like, just bring a phone and put a phone in front of their face. And I held space for this woman, she held space for me, and I just told her, I'm like, that is not friendships. Some of the comments that she'd shared with me that they were saying to her about like, just like very surface level shit, and like not genuinely caring, like purposely trying to undermine her and misunderstand her. And I was reminded of my younger self when I started getting sober from alcohol, and I, you know, tried to push and have deep-hearted conversations. I'll never forget some of the comments that were thrown my way when I talked about wanting to travel, and when I talked about getting sober, you know. And like, in saying this, I'm like, are there times where I was that person judging other people, misunderstanding people? Of course. That's, you know, especially with my relationship with Tyler, I see that part of myself very clearly. Tyler's very sensitive too, and so sometimes he'll just openly share something he's excited about or tell me how to do something, and it's because he cares. He's not trying to like boss me around, but the part of me that like was not allowed to be sensitive comes up and like gets very threatened. I've reacted poorly. So, I'm calling myself out because, and I'm working on that part because that's not how I want to be with people. I don't want to be like that with Tyler. I don't want to react from like, and that place has gifts like that. Protection mechanism definitely has gifts, right? When we sit with her and we talk to that version that's trying to protect us, it's because she's trying to protect the very sensitive, caring part of myself that was never allowed to be expressed. And so now I see Tyler expressing that care, and unconsciously, I guess maybe, I guess maybe unconsciously, there's a little bit of like jealousy that like must be nice. I feel threatened, right? Yeah, I feel threatened. I feel threatened because once upon a time when I was gentle, caring, sensitive, and openly aware and vulnerable and like shared that without hesitation, I got shit on for it. So of course, in sharing this, it's not to say I'm far from perfect, and I'm on the path to healing. So of course I want people in my life who reflect that, and I'm bringing that in. This past week, after not sharing videos, people have been reaching out to me. I just had another man yesterday. He's like, your reels are great. He's like, you keep saying in your videos that no one's listening, but he's like, trust me. He's like, people are listening. Shadow work. And this morning I was thinking of it. I'm like, the more we hold space for our own shit, the more we're going to reflect that out. The more deep-hearted, challenging conversations are going to become the norm. And I can feel it in my own life. When I was sitting with that woman talking, getting my pedicure, we talked for an hour about God, about healing, about, how fucking internalized shame has really harmed us as humans. Just how really the contrast of people who genuinely care and have values that are soul fulfilling and like healing and helpful to humanity versus people who just like surface level, mechanical, it just trying to keep up with the Joneses and just hyper focus on like tearing people down because they don't want to look at themselves. It was such a beautiful conversation, and like I keep getting reminders of that. I'm like, right, I stopped because I started to believe that it didn't matter, and all my infantile bullied versions, feelings of being younger, those parts came up. So I'm like, of course, I've been talking to God, Goddess, life, my intuition, and I've been praying, and I've been putting that out there, and I've been acting according to it, so it's going to reflect back. And so I'm just going to keep sharing once in a while when it feels appropriate, when it feels like I actually have something I want to say. I don't want to be on here every day. That whole truth a day thing felt kind of cheesy, and I considered doing reels, and I'm just like, that's not me. But yeah, I think shadow work is becoming popular. Like, I think it's going to become more and more common, and I think a lot of people aren't even calling it that and are doing it, which is amazing. But yeah, if any of this lands for you, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to have friends I could talk about this stuff with, because Tyler loves it and all, but I'm sure he he's not as like about this stuff as I am. But yeah, I've had so many girlfriends reach out to me. I've had a man reach out to me lately. I've had a couple men reach out to me too. And it's reaffirming, I'm reaffirming my inner child. I'm reaffirming that sensitivity that was always needed. So of course the world's going to reflect that, because I'm giving myself that. And people, that's what I was thinking of with shadow work. It's magnetic. When people start to do shadow work and they really start to walk and like in light of who they really are, it's so magnetizing. It's so beautiful. And I just want to be around people who are doing that work, right? Because they understand it, and it's not this like zigzag to try and explain to each other. It's beautiful. And you start to realize just how heavy a lot of energy is that doesn't, and you don't need to focus. Like, I know it sounds silly to be like, well, don't focus on it, but we really do have to get our mind right, and we really do have to change our thought patterns. Like, two of the tasks I've been giving my protectors personally, the part of me that gets PMSy and starts to believe life is not things aren't working out, instead of protecting me and telling me that I'm stupid and I'm not worthy of anything, I gave that part of myself the task of looking for all the good in the world, looking for proof that beauty is all around us. And in saying this, I used to think people who'd say this shit were just super fucking cheesy, but trust, like, when you start to heal, you realize a lot of the garbage we've been sold. And one of the other tasks I've been giving my another protector part that doesn't trust men, that gets like, oh no, our relationship's gonna go to shambles because A to Z. I look for proof that I can trust Tyler. And it's not that the proof isn't there, I have a propensity to run, to flee, to ditch, to peace out, to be like, I'm just gonna live in my car. I'm gonna figure out my life on my own. Because that's what CPTSD does, is you see the world, but you're not seeing like you're seeing your own triggers. Like you're hyper focused on it, right? That's where a lot of my reactions come from, to protect myself. So yeah, in saying this, like, it's not about perfection, it's just knowing that people are willing to heal and challenge themselves. Because when you're just pointing the finger or trying to undermine people constantly, you're not helping them. And I don't want to be around it. Like, I want to encourage people to heal, to live their best life possible. And you know what? Some of the stuff I share 10 years ago, a year ago, I wouldn't have been saying this shit because I would have thought it was cheesy. But life is beautiful. Go where you grow. Or glow where you grow. I don't know. I'm trying to be silly, but go where there's flowers. Go where there's beauty. Go where people encourage those parts of you who, want to flourish together, want to grow. And it's not about perfection, but it is about repair. If people can repair and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I realized I was misguided here, that's a relationship that could probably happen, right? Like, it's okay to be imperfect. It's not about perfection. It's about, is your energy celebrated? Is your wholeness, is your sensitivity, are your gifts and talents encouraged? Are they celebrated? Are they seen for what they are? Because if not, then you're going to be spending so much time just trying to be understood, and that's just not worth it. Your heart deserves the best, the very best. And yeah, so yeah, feel free to reach out. All the little comments I get from people, the random conversations I've been having, they've just been making my day, because it is a form of validation. I'm like, this is like my whole life's process I'm sharing that I couldn't share with most people. And so when people see me in that, I'm like, oh, thanks for seeing me, the true me, right? And we all deserve that. So yeah, thanks guys.